Developments in the Liam Payne case, more specifically between Roger Norres and Jeff Payne and the defamation case. This is actually part 3. If you've not seen 2 and 1, please scroll back and have a look at my previous videos. Let's get back into it. So we ended the last video basically talking about the fact that Roger Norres did in fact take over everything in Argentina, including psychiatrists, psychologists, the lot, some of which Jeff wasn't aware of, including the different moves between hotels. In fact, to back that up, in the documentation here, the prosecutor did actually ask Jeff, was he aware of the changes in accommodation during his stay in Argentina? To which Jeff replied, no, I was not aware of the changes or the existence of the hotel where the accident occurred. The prosecutor then asked Jeff to describe his relationship between Roger. He replied, I met him when he arrived in Miami. We maintained those weeks of coexistence for Liam's recovery, as he himself offered. So Roger offered, but he's got no responsibility. When I wasn't with him, he stayed with Roger, who was responsible for his care. He was the one who reported his condition to me, sometimes his bodyguard, when he was an artist. So Roger's saying he didn't have any responsibility, it was nothing to do with him, yet he took it upon himself to be the front man and then report to Liam's family. Is that not responsibility? But then listen to this. Asked by Mr. Prosecutor to describe the handling of Liam's finances, he replied. So Jeff is saying this now. Liam's finances were handled by a person I trust. Alan, I can't even pronounce that. McVoy? Him. If necessary, I will provide his contact details later. I know Roger intervened in Liam's finances, but that is something I am finding out internally with my work team. Liam had told me that the plan was for Roger to replace Alan, and in fact it didn't come into fruition because Liam passed away. So Roger's plan was to become Liam's accountant, but he didn't want any responsibility, didn't want any money, didn't even want pain, allegedly, according to Roger. There was obviously a plan in which Roger and Liam had discussed, Roger completely taking over Liam's finances. It's there in black and white. The prosecutor then goes on to talk about the Rolex to confirm the brand of the watch, which Jeff does. And then there is a slight discussion about that brown bag. You remember the brown bag that was found on the second floor? Jeff does actually say that he does recognise the bag as to be Liam's property. He says that he doesn't know what would be the contents of the bag, but he does request that the bag is returned back to him. So just to take a little step back and recap here. Roger had every intention of taking over Liam's finances. Roger had already taken over the majority of Liam's healthcare. There was a psychiatrist that was brought in. Her position was then let go. There is paperwork in the court documentation that suggests Roger brought in a new psychiatrist. He claimed that Liam wasn't totally honest with this psychiatrist and didn't speak about addiction. This goes on to explain why, in Roger's eyes, that his bodyguard was then sacked. He claimed that the bodyguard took it upon himself to then reach out to this new psychiatrist and basically say, look, Liam hasn't told you the whole story, he has issues with addiction, there is previous problems with history of substance, etc, etc. And that is why he was sacked. But take that as you will. Are you ready for part 4? Because we have the entrance of Lula, in Jeff's opinion.